welcome to another episode of the Meal Prep Monday podcast. I'm your host and founder of Prep Dish, Allison Schaaf. In today's episode, I am going over how to choose which grocery store to use when using Instacart for your grocery shopping. Before I get into today's episode, I wanted to just remind you about the feedback we've been getting. So here at Prep Dish, we just recently implemented links that take you to a pre-filled grocery cart so that you can get your groceries delivered to you, but you don't even have to go through the trouble of like poking around and finding all the items and doing the quote unquote grocery shopping. It's all done for you. And we've been getting some feedback on these links. Here's what some of the Prep Dish customers have to say. Someone wrote in, "This is a game changer for grocery shopping, such a time saver." And someone else said, "I love how easy it is. It saves so much time having the items already added to the cart. I just checked and I can do my curbside pickup for free." I love hearing all this feedback. We've been hearing from people on our Facebook group and on Instagram, some emails, and just, always good to get feedback and know how things are working. If you're listening to this and you are not a subscriber, this would be a great time to sign up. Not only do you get our meal plans, which include meal prep instructions, easy, instructions on how to get dinner on the table every night. But now that grocery list, it has a link where you can just go straight to a shopping cart that's already filled for you. So just one more piece that's going to save you a lot of time. We have a 2-week free trial set up at prepdish.com/MPM. Again, that's prepdish.com/MPM, short for Meal Prep Monday, if you want to try us out for 2 weeks for free. So for today's episode, this is definitely more geared for someone who is Prep Dish subscriber, but this is a little, hack. You could say that as I've been testing out these links at length, these Instacart links that we have, there's something that I've noticed, and I just wanted to mention it here in an episode because I know a lot of the listeners to this podcast are Prep Dish subscribers, and I just wanted to kind of walk through what I've discovered about something to keep in mind when choosing the grocery stores and how to go about choosing the right grocery store for you. So when we launched these links, I spent a lot of time not just in my zip code, but inputting different zip codes and using the links and filling shopping carts at all the different stores just to see what happened. Did it always fill it with all the ingredients that it needed? What brands was it choosing? Was it, missing items? What was it listing as a pantry optional item? And just kind of figuring out how the Instacart algorithm works in relation to the links that we're providing for all of you. So some of this, we give Instacart a list and we kind of create this, but there's some of it that we can't specify specifically, and it's left to the Instacart algorithms and AI to figure out what to do. So that's what I'm going to get into today. And this relates also to, I'll circle around of like how to go about choosing the best grocery store for you. So what I have noticed is when it comes to brands, because that was something I was really curious about of is it going to always choose the grass-fed organic meats? Is it going to choose, the salsa brand that doesn't have all the additives and preservatives and kind of has that cleaner ingredient list? And how do we control for that? And to be honest, a lot of those ingredients, it's not in my control when I give the grocery list. I can be as descriptive as possible in terms of the item, but whether or not it's going to choose the item I want is a little bit out of my control. But what I have noticed is it tends to, from what I can tell, it tends to select the items that it believes shoppers of that store are going to want. So for example, I noticed when I shopped at Albertsons, it did not give me organic produce. It gave me a peanut butter that had hydrogenated oils, but was a lower cost point. It did not give me the organic grass-fed meats. So basically what I deduced by looking at this is when I used a link to go to Albertsons, it was giving me budget-friendly items. And it seems as if it's decided someone who shops at Albertsons is looking for, their top priority is budget. And then I did a link to Central Market, which is, it's more similar to a Whole Foods. It's kind of a higher end grocery store, more like a Whole Foods, probably has more health conscious shoppers. When I click on Central Market links, I noticed that all of the meats would be grass-fed, organic carrots. Again, the produce like the spinach or the lettuce, those were all organic. The peanut butter brand was one that didn't have any added sugars or hydrogenated oils, like a really clean ingredient list. And the eggs, it gave me the pastured omega-3 eggs. I think it was actually Vital Farm eggs is the ones that were added to the cart. Whereas, back again to the Albertsons one, it did not. It had the budget eggs. So I think what the Instacart AI or whoever is deciding, Instacart has decided that the Central Market shopper stereotype is more health conscious and looking for more the organic kind of brands. So what I would recommend to you is looking at the different, in terms of deciding which grocery store to go with. If you have multiple grocery stores, and some of you may not, but I've noticed Instacart, in most places, you have multiple options in terms of which store to buy from. You might want to think through, or even just play around with like going to the different, clicking the link and selecting different grocery stores and seeing which grocery store gets closer to adding the items that you would prefer, because you might find that there is one. So for example, in that Albertsons versus Central Market, I would prefer the items that are added at Central Market. So I would choose getting the delivery from Central Market because I could just click. I would have to make very few edits and I could just order the items. Whereas if I did Albertsons, I would have to make more substitutions. So it would take more time on my part. Now, if I were more budget conscious and I was really trying to like watch budget and didn't care as much about organic and that type of thing, then maybe I would go with Albertsons and not do the Central Market for that reason. So it would require less editing on my part once the cart is filled. So that's just something you might want to play around with in terms of which grocery stores are available to you and which one is going to be the best fit for you, and what your priorities are for your family and what you're looking for out of your groceries. So this is a very kind of nuanced hack, but as we've been into the Instacart world here for multiple weeks, I know that some of you out there are going to care about this sort of thing. And so I'm kind of in the zone of like doing these little tweaks and really trying to optimize and make sure that long term, this is going to work for you. And it's going to just be so easy and require very little editing and just be that dream shopping cart that like you press the button and it's there and it looks beautiful and it's exactly what you want. And you add a few things and you schedule the time, and it just makes that grocery shopping experience one of ease, so that's my goal for you. So I wanted to go down this rabbit hole today for those of you that want to get to that next level of making sure this is efficient as possible and you're getting what you want. Like I want you to get what you want out of here, and there's different options and different routes. So just something you might want to play around with, especially if you have been using it for the past kind of several weeks since it's launched. This might be kind of that next level of playing around just to make sure that it's working for you the best it can. So that is all I have for this week's episode. If you are a longtime listener of this podcast and you have yet to leave a rating and review, I would so appreciate that. It helps other people to find our podcast, get the word out about Meal Prep Monday. And if you are not a Prep Dish subscriber, and you listen through this whole episode, I think maybe you should try signing up. It's prepdish.com/MPM, short for Meal Prep Monday. And I'll be back next week with another episode. I'll try and do something that's a little less specific to Prep Dish subscribers. So thanks for bearing with me if that's not you. But I'll be back again next Monday.